Former White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre continues to make media appearances to promote her new book. Throughout her media tour, she's been asked tough questions about her defense of then-President Joe Biden's physical and mental well-being. As press secretary, she obviously worked closely with Biden on a regular basis, and she's maintained he was always alert and engaged.
But in a recent appearance on MSNBC, anchor Elise Jordan pressed KJP about comments she made regarding Special Counsel Robert Hur. His 2020 report called into question Biden's cognitive ability, and Jean-Pierre strongly denounced it at the time, saying it did not, quote, live in reality. Here was part of her explanation on MSNBC.
My reality was this. My reality was somebody that I saw every single day who was sharp, who pushed his team, was understanding very clearly of the policy of history. That is what I saw. I could only speak for what I saw on a daily basis for 2.5 years, almost 4 years, actually. And I was White House press secretary, obviously, for 2.5 years. And that is the president that I know.
Then KJP was asked if she had any regrets from her time as press secretary. Let's look at that.
It was an honor and a privilege to have that job. And I did it to the best of my abilities. And I spoke for the President of the United States, a person that I believe was a decent person. We did not get everything right. No one is saying we got everything right. No one is saying that we got everything right. No one is saying that. But we did it to our best of our abilities. And I worked very hard to do that job. And so I want to put it into context. And as you know, at the podium, you don't do yes or no question answers.
No, we were hoping you would now that you are speaking for yourself and you're not at the podium.
But I was very proud.
Jean-Pierre has been widely criticized for her comments during this book tour, including by those on the left. Former Rhode Island Democratic lawmaker Aaron Rugenberg writes, KJP is the perfect embodiment of everything wrong with Dem elites. Soulless, incompetent, narcissistic, selfish, in it for all the wrong reasons. That she's finally being widely recognized as such gives me real hope for our party's trajectory. We're done with these ghouls. An economic analyst, Gerald Salenti, simply says, coward to the end. And I think they're being exactly as fair
I think
as...
that's a little bit...
No, it's harsh,
bit much.
but
Yeah.
it's fair, I think. She is just the worst. I can't...
The worst?
I really cannot stand her. And I think what she is doing is
Okay.
morally bankrupt.
So, okay, do you think that Caroline Levitt, she seems to be a pretty tight ally of President Trump. I don't think that even if she didn't like the party down the line, she would ever denounce President Trump because he put somebody who would largely be seen to most people as a loyalist in that position. She defends everything he says. Even when they get it wrong, she has to change the next day. She still tries to find a way to massage it, which is what a press secretary does on both sides, and be loyal to him. And so what Karine Jean-Pierre is doing, while you can be a critic from the outside of her position and say, yes, Biden probably, I was clear about this. He shouldn't have ran. I disagree with her wholeheartedly. If she wants to change parties, she has the autonomy to do that. After being so deeply entrenched in the Democratic Party, it's an odd time to do so rather than help rebuild. So there are many criticisms and conversations we can have about that. But about the fact that she's being loyal to President Biden, I don't find any issue with what she's doing because that was who she worked for several years. She had a direct and clear relationship with his wife, who many people says were regarding Biden in many ways and not allowing people to access him. So if she felt that he was able to do his job and disagrees wholeheartedly with Jake Tapper's book and just feels like she should continue to honor his legacy as he's, sick with cancer, she doesn't have to go on this crusade against her former boss. She doesn't have to.
Well, then she just shouldn't.
But she can write a book. But she's allowed to speak her truth.
She's going on a crusade on his behalf.
No, she's saying that she doesn't think it was a good idea. Not that she doesn't respect Kamala. She don't think it was a good idea 107 days for Kamala to run. Not because Kamala is not wholly qualified, but because she didn't think that the nation was going to elect Kamala as the next president. She thought that Joe Biden would have had a better chance of winning. I disagree with that.
Yeah, and that's
But that is her stance.
And her stance is delusional.
But that's her stance, though.
It's contradicted by all available data. It's
I know, but that is literally her stance.
It's her stance, but her stance is wrong. She's taking this stance.
She's putting her relationship over politics
on behalf of.
No, she's putting one relationship over.
She helped conceal his decline from the public.
She's putting her relationship with Biden over politics, and sometimes if somebody is
I just don't.
Literally,
I don't think that's
I know that you're like, okay, we're not going to be emotional about this, and I try to really be logical about most things. But when you have somebody who's a direct partner with you for so many years, who gave you an opportunity of a lifetime to be a first in her position, a first woman, I believe, of Haitian descent who ever had that position at the White House, it was a big deal for her in that moment. And so she has affinity to somebody who she knows is now sick and doesn't want to kick him while he's down. Enough people have done this, right?
Well, then just don't
Enough
say
people.
anything.
Kamala
Then
told
don't
all
write
the
the
ways
book.
that he did all the negative things to her, except did it in a nice way. Enough people are kicking that man while he's down.
Kamala's book was stupid.
She doesn't
too.
have
this
to.
one is stupid. And
No,
then
she does
stuff.
not have to be part
You're right.
of that.
She doesn't have to. Then just shut up. Then don't write a book.
But why can't she?
Well,
Maybe she
can,
wants to
and
get
then
into
I
politics.
can say she lacks
So-
all morals and principles
she
and is
wants
a
to get into-
pathological propagandist on behalf of a failed administration.
So Trump has no loyalists around him?
To go back
Does
to
Trump have
Caroline Leavitt.
Exactly.
If
Break that-
Caroline Leavitt, if Donald Trump had a stroke and was no longer capable of being the president, and Caroline Leavitt helped to cover it up and conceal it from the American people, I would denounce her in just as strong terms.
Now let's bring the moment
but
where it really
KJP
is.
actually did that.
If Caroline Leavitt thought that Trump was healthy enough to continue leading, and then let's say, God forbid, knock on wood, that Trump gets sick down the line after he leaves the office, and then announces it to the American public that he's sick, and Caroline Leavitt says, I'm leaving the Republican Party and becoming an independent, and writes a book and says that she thought that Trump did a
think
great
that would be a
job,
stupid series
then that
of
is
actions,
just
yes.
that's just what it is. She felt that he did a great job.
Well,
People could not like you
we're not
or not like
arguing
me.
over-
I would still tell
That's
you.
not what we're arguing over.
If you're
obviously, I disagree with KJP.
She was with him
on whether
95% of the
Biden did-
time. She said he was okay. That's what she's going off of.
That was wrong. That was
Yeah,
a
but
lie.
that's
That was either a
her
lie or
experience.
that was evidence of you being a complete moron. Like, it was either she was in on the lie or she was a moron. And her writing a book about why, well, yes, he had cognitively declined, and I just didn't notice. Like, she's not saying she was in on the lie or helped to conceal it.
Because maybe she was isolated by some of her mentors and maybe hurt by that. If Joe Biden, they say
95% of the time she was with him. That's, again, you just said that.
Well, she said that she was on the plane with him, and that's what she said. I'm getting that from an interview.
But can you see how ridiculous this
But if
is?
she
She's on
felt
the
that-
plane and they have this paper bag that they've put on a scarecrow and they're saying
No.
it's Biden.
Okay, you
and
know-
she's like, oh, hello, Mr. President.
Okay,
how cognizant of
So
things you
listen,
seem today.
Richard
Let's
Sherman,
discuss
one of our
Middle
News
East
Nation
policy.
reporters, recently, and he and I talked about this because he's been on Air Force One a couple times. I was like, break it down for me. Tell me what it's like. And he kind of went into detail. So it's not like you're sitting next to him like me and you in first class sitting here. The president has their own area, and I'm sure KJP is somewhere totally else. She's not on top of the man.
Face blindness?
She's not,
They're
no,
like,
maybe he just
oh,
was
hello,
sleeping or
President Biden. It's a
chilling.
beanbag chair. Like, this is so ridiculous.
Okay, I'm just letting you know. The woman wrote a book. She's leaving the party. She's also not going to bash a man while he's down. I respect that she doesn't want to do that. I also could criticize the
right
fact that I don't think that she's taking the right stance here. Biden should certainly not have ran again. And that's where I fall with
Right.
it. But she has a different relationship with him than I or you or anyone else. Just like Caroline Leavitt has a different relationship to Trump as she sits up there every day and defends each thing that he does, even when she knows some of the things are
Look,
trash.
The White House press secretary is a thankless task. It's not a job that I would want because it is your job to just be
defending everything. Even when it makes no
it's
sense.
indefensible.
Yes.
But now this is really indefensible. She's not in the job. She doesn't have to defend it anymore. She can just not. Or she could actually shed light. She could
to appease Republicans who don't support her?
Not appease.
Who's she appeasing with this information?
To appease Democratic voters who are furious with the administration for being complicit.
Or
in
they're
this
not that
lie.
furious. Maybe they want to move on and figure out what's next. Maybe they want Biden to enjoy the rest of his life. Maybe they want to
How
move
is this-
on and figure out what the next.
Biden was great, and
No, he wasn't great. People agree with
That
my
is-
stance.
how is
that
that
he wasn't
moving on?
great.
I'm saying,
'Cause
how
it's
are they moving on to say
because
that
the
Biden's
Democratic
great?
Party does not have an identity right now. I think there's like an identity crisis, and they're trying to figure out what's next. And unfortunately, they have not figured that out yet. But spending time rehashing what Biden did wrong is really, really exhausting and stupid to me.
It's not.
And so I
Because
think
the
that
Democratic
Republicans
Party's
would like to
current
do
problems
that.
are
But Democrats
downstream.
would like to figure out what the new iteration looks like, who they're going to support, what candidates are going to be saying and doing, and who's going to come up in these midterms, who's going to also come up for the next president. People want
They
to
will
move
not succeed
forward. Yes.
until they understand what they did wrong. All of their problems are downstream.
We're not going to have another anomaly like President
hold-
Biden. That's so specific. That same exact thing is going to happen again? What are you saying? We're going
not-
to have an old man
Oh.
that's in the office
Lindsay.
and cognitive decline and like, no, Kamala's not an old man, so we just talked about her potentially running. I think we're fine in that accord. Pete Buttigieg ain't an old man.
Okay, I
Gavin
don't-
Newsom's not an old man. So if these are the three candidates that are bubbling in the polls about possibly running, we're fine in that category. Who is it going to be? Let's move on.
Okay, I don't trust the Democratic Party not to thrust an elderly, dementia-addled 80 or 90-year-old
Well,
in a
you
to a
weren't
position
even going to
of
vote for the
leadership,
president
but-
anyway, so it's just a moot issue.
Okay.
It's a moot issue.
Okay. All right, we've got a lot more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.